Hey everybody, it's Irene with BrainStormAcres, and today we're going to be getting this bed planted with tomatoes. We're going to show you a system that we've developed over the years, and to some people in some parts of the United States it's going to seem ridiculous, and probably other parts of the world too, but it's what we need here in order to do a good job of growing tomatoes. I've got my list of tomatoes worked out. I know whether they're indeterminate or determinant, which will affect how closely together I plant them, and I've got a layout worked out on a piece of paper for this bed. There's room here to plant 20 plants. I could probably plant them closer together. I'm hearing such a variation of theories of life when it comes to how close you should plant your tomatoes that it's ridiculous. But the standard that I had always sort of grown up with was 18 inches apart for determinate tomatoes and 24 inches apart for indeterminate tomatoes. Now, determinate tomatoes means that they're going to only grow to a certain height, 3 or 4 feet, depending on the plant. There are a few of the new determinants that seem to be closer to 5 feet, but I don't believe I'm growing any of those. And basically, they're going to produce the vast majority of their fruit in about 1 to 2 weeks. They were basically developed originally, determinants were developed for commercial growers because they don't want to have to send a team out into the field every day for 6 or 10 or 12 weeks to pick tomatoes. So commercially, most of the tomatoes that are grown are determinants. Now, we grow a combination. In fact, the majority of our tomatoes that we grow are indeterminates. That means the stem is going to continue to grow. You handle them differently than you handle the determinants. You prune them and do things like that, and they will produce over a longer period. They may produce as much as the determinants do. I hear a lot of variations on thoughts on that. I think it depends on your environment as much as anything else as to how well they'll produce. In general, the determinants, like I say, lean towards the commercial. The indeterminants are where we find most of our heritage varieties of tomatoes. Things like our big beefs and things like that are all indeterminates. So this year we're growing we're growing 3 determinate tomatoes. We're growing Invincible, Bella Rosa, and Grand Marshal. Invincible and Bella Rosa are both from Haas Tools. Don't remember where Grand Marshal come from. I'd have to actually check. I'll have Henry put that up for me. But those are all determinants, so which means they're not going to get giant tall. You don't have to have giant tall trellises for indeterminate tomatoes. You just have to decide how you're going to handle them. We grew indeterminate tomatoes sometimes when I was a kid, and we simply strung them up kind of on poles and made it work. We didn't have any fancy trellis systems or anything else like that. It might make it easier. These beds are not conducive to fancy trellis systems because they are actually wicking beds. That means there is plastic in the bottom of these, and the water that we put in the top either comes out the end in a drain hole if we overload the thing with water, or if we would actually have monsoon season here this year and it filled the bed up, it would simply pour out the end so it doesn't drain, so it doesn't drown the plants. But it saves a huge amount of water for us because we're not trying to water parts of the ground that have nothing to do with our garden. So these are lined, you could probably see on the edges here, they're lined within about 1 inch of the top. And we also do that because the bricks, the blocks, cement is not waterproof, not even sort of waterproof, and it will allow the water to migrate through it if you don't have plastic between the soil and the cement blocks. That doesn't make any difference some places. Here, water is a precious commodity, so we try not to waste it. So I've got my chart, I've got my tape measure. I'm going to start marking where I'm going to be planting the plants, and then I'm going to get my whole system in place here. And what you're going to see me put up is you're going to see me put up these PVC hoops. They will go over the top, and there will be a lightweight row cover will be put on them. And what that's going to do is that's going to protect the plants from the wind here. It creates a lot of protection for them. It does not increase the temperature inside because it is lightweight, but it does slightly reduce the amount of sun that they get, and that's not an issue here at all. If anything, you want to reduce the amount of sun they get because it's just better for them. They will use a lot less water inside that little tent that we're going to create for them because the wind is not constantly stripping off the water in the leaves. It will also not batter the plants as much. It also physically keeps off a lot of the bugs. So, for instance, it's still early in the season, but I am seeing the moths running around that create their larvae are tomato hornworms. So, okay, in fact, we've killed a couple in the house lately because, I'm sorry, no moths in the house. Butterflies get removed and put outside, moths get smushed. So that's our theory when it comes to bugs in the house. I also usually try to salvage all wasps and bees that get in the house. Although sometimes the little ones you just can't. They're just too aggressive, unfortunately. But we do our best. So, time to get going. You're going to see a pretty bizarre structure appear. These hoops will go up over the top. There's going to be cement blocks at each end that will provide stabilization for those hoops because we get such high winds here, especially if we get hit by a dust devil. It'll lift everything off the bed and just take it. So you're creating basically a kite, and we want our kite to stay down, so we have learned to put cement blocks at both ends of the beds with a rope over the top. It's a little crazy, it's a little messy, but it works really well. And it really dramatically decreases our water use and improves the quality of our tomato crops. So, get to work.
Connecting the signal wires to the control valves is a two-step process. The first step we completed in a previous show. That's those little orange wire nuts. The second step is to install a cover that contains a water-resistant material. It's kind of like Vaseline. You push the wire nut down in the Vaseline and snap the cover over. It keeps the water out of the connection so that you don't have corrosion.
If you don't have a tape measure like this that you don't want to use outside, because some people don't like getting their tape measures near dirt, you can easily just cut a stick to be 18 inches long. Works great. We do the same thing a lot of times if we're spacing something when you're doing construction. Just you cut a stick the length that you need it to be, and you just go with it. Hi-ho, hi-ho, it's off to work we go. Do 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 do. Hi-ho, hi-ho, hi-ho. Now this is 1 inch PVC. In general, 1/2 inch PVC will not hold up to the kind of stresses that we're going to get here. I need to get a plant out of there, but I'm not going to reach in barehanded. Reaching in barehanded is not a great idea around here. I don't mind being startled to death by something, but being bitten by something I don't want. The biggest danger here is actually black widows. We have had to get rid of black widow colonies a couple of times when they formed in our cement blocks. The bed is ready to go. we've got room for 17 tomato plants in here, or other plants. I may decide to plant, I'll probably stick a basil or two in here just for fun. But this one's basically ready to go. That is not all of my tomatoes by a long shot, so I'm going to have to also use one of these other beds here. I just have to decide which one. I might actually use that bed down there. That way I can leave these California poppies longer. I hate to harvest them. The ones in this bed were mostly done. They had just a few flowers left on them. Unfortunately, these were self-seeded. I did not plant them there. I would not do that. I prefer it when they grow in the pathways, but since we didn't really have rain last year, if I can let this run for another couple of weeks, I can harvest some seed off of that. This will be pretty easy. I'd hope to get all of this done today. I don't think I'm going to because it's really hot.
Do you have fun planting tomatoes, Irene?
Yeah, I've been wanting to get those out for a while, and it's nice to feel like something is underway. So tomorrow I'll get that bed weeded the rest of the way, and then we'll decide how we're going to handle that. I have to do the layout on that one. This one was easy because the number was perfect in terms of
we had 19 spots for determinant tomatoes.
17.
17 spots.
17
I thought it was 19.
No.
We had 17 spots for determinant tomatoes. We filled them all.
We had 17 determinate tomatoes. So yeah, this one will be, over here will be a bunch of indeterminates. So we have to decide, some guy has got to decide how many Dutch buckets he wants so that we can know how many go in the greenhouse and how many go out here.
Do you know what time it is?
It's time to sit down and have a cold drink and have some dinner.
Say goodnight, Irene.
Yeah. So be sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, because obviously we have lots more going on. Haven't even planted the green beans or anything yet. So yeah, lots more.
We'll talk with you later.
Bye.
Bye.